Good afternoon, everyone. This is Mylene Busa, and our lesson for today is about gender and activism. Objectives: discuss the heteronormativity in its manifestations, appreciate the contribution of activism in social change. Our society is now advocating towards equal rights for everyone through the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, or UDHR. It acknowledges that everyone, including LGBT people, is equal in dignity and in rights. Although most countries no longer punish or outlaw homosexuality, there is still much to be done for the LGBT people to fully enjoy their human rights. So, in introductions, it says here that kung asa katabilong na komunidad or society including LGBT people kay equal tanan naa na sila dignity and rights tungod aning UDHR or Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It says there na most countries dili na tanan punishable or ma-outlaw ang homosexuality kay naa naman sila rights na gihawiran na naa na sila freedom to fully enjoy their human rights. Heteronormativity, it means of relating to or based on the attitude that heterosexuality is the only normal and natural expression of sexuality. So, when we say heteronormativity, it means nakarelate or nakabase ni siya sa attitude or sexuality kung unsay normal and natural expression kung di sa ka belong. For example, sa mga boys, if we say boys, they are masculine, they have their own ways. And some parts of heteronormativity is ang mga babae. When we say girls, kanang feminine, and they have their own ways too, because they belong in a feminine gender man. We assume that everyone is heterosexual or straight, and that is the standard for everyone. They assume na tanan is heterosexual or straight, and that is the standard for everyone. With a heteronormative point of view, straight people are placed at a privileged group by viewing them as the standard or normal. Anyone who does not adhere to that standard are viewed lesser. With a heteronormative point of view, straight people are placed at a privileged group by viewing them as standard or normal, kay they belong in straight community. Kay masculine and feminine, boys or girls, man or woman or lady, while the other not adhere to that standard. Kay ang view sa heteronormative, kay nalahi sila or mabaw lang ang pananaw sa mga not straight people. Women who love women, we all know that pag ang babae nagkagustong babae, we call them lesbian. Then while men who love men, gays, people who love men or women, makaangay sila both gender, they will call bisexuals. People who feel that they do not belong to their biological sex, it's called transgender, and other people who reject the notion of gender binaries, male, female, masculine, feminine. Heteronormativity has been so ingrained in our social and political institutions that it has almost become more invisible. Most people unknowingly subscribe to heteronormative standards just because that is the way it has always been for them, like assigning blue for boys and pink for girls. So it says there na ang heteronormativity kay bali na sila dakong ginagampanan, and they perform in a social and political institution na naata. Sa society, ang standard lang nila is mga straight. For example, ang blue is for boys and pink for girls. But what happens when a boy wants a pink toys? They are reprimanded and criticized in a process called normalization. Kung makadungog tag na ay pag ang laki gustong muduwa o pang babae like pink toys, kanang they are criticized or a process called normalization. This normalization limits persons' choices and freedom. For the LGBT, it means they are marginalized, treated as inferior, discriminated on, branded as abnormal, and are treated as second-class citizens. This leads to homophobia, transphobia, biphobia, prejudice, discrimination, and also violence and other hostile acts towards the LGBT people. So there is normalization, diri mahitabo ang nalilimitahan ang mga choices or freedom sa usa ka tawo. For example, ang LGBT gina-underestimate, gina-marginalize, treated as inferior, called as abnormal or unsa pa dira or second class citizens. Kibali ubos lang jud ang pananaw nila sa mga LGBT people or dili jud sila kanang katanggap-tanggap, dili sila dawat. One example of heteronormative violence is the murder of LGBT women and men during the Nazi Holocaust. So, ato sa isabton unsa ning Nazi Holocaust. Based on my research, it was the systematic, state-sponsored persecution and murder of 6 million European Jews by the Nazi German regime and its allies and collaborators. The Holocaust was an evolving process that took place throughout Europe between 1933 and 1944. Kanang sa World War II ni siya nahitabo. Kanang diri na nahitabo tong mga killing centers gani. And ang Nazi Holocaust in present day, it means punishing LGBT children for expressing who they are or being vocal about who they are or attracted to. So, for example, sa mga workdays na lang na naay discrimination sa LGBT community. It could be being fired or not promoted. It leads for they are not straight. And even sa family, kay bawta, even sa family na adyo'y mahitabo na dili pagdawat sa ila, dili makadawat ang ilang ginikanan or pamilya, kung unsa sila or kinsa. So naadyo'y discrimination or mistreatment na mahitabo sa mga not straight people, kanang dili sila masculine enough or feminine enough. In politics, it manifests policies denying that LGBT their freedom, such as anti-sodomy laws. In many countries, LGBT is a crime punishable na pwedeng mapriso or mapatay. Sa ubang country na dyan mahitabo na dili jud sila madawat, kanang may posibilidad na mapriso sila or mamatay. Challenging heteronormativity through activism. Heteronormativity is a social construct, and history has proven societies changing attitudes on homosexuality. History showed us the egalitarian acceptance of homosexuality in the ancient hunter-gatherer civilization, the violent erasure of the gender deviance, and condemnation of homosexuality with the spread of the Abrahamic religion. LGBT activism have had various social movements to advocate for LGBT people's equal rights 2000 and liberation 1960s to 1970s and self-acceptance to the homophile movement 1950s. These social movements engage in political and social activism through street rallies, pride marches, law lobbying, engaging the media arts, research, and many other activities that empower the LGBT community. Dissent is so powerful, it can make significant changes in our society, breaking the culture of silence and the daily heteronormative violence that are committed and condoned by society is the first step towards social change. We can start by refusing to participate in heteronormative violence towards the LGBT and participating in various events for the LGBT community. So these are the events for LGBT community. In May 17, they have their International Day Against Homophobia and Transphobia or IDAHOT. Sa May 31, they have International Transgender Day of Visibility. In November 20, Transgender Day of Remembrance, and June, Pride Month. So we have our summary June kanang moral lesson na po nito ba. Di po sa inyo moral lesson kanang something natay summary sa atong discussion gamay. Heteronormativity as a social construct can be undone through activism. Social change may not be something that happens right away, but decades-old LGBT struggle has proven that change can happen. You do not have to be an LGBT to fight for equal rights. You just have to be a human being who believes in freedom and equality for all. So kita jud dapat tanan LGBT man ka or dili straight man ka ang dapat naatay freedom, naatay equality sa tanan. Walay mga pabor-pabor, walay mga favorism, something yan na. And that's it. Thank